Hey guys, it's Sandeep from Rev Atlas and welcome to our first video in the Q&A series of Ask Rev Atlas, where you can shoot out questions to us and we'll reply to them in this video format. So although we try and reply to all the comments that are posted on YouTube, we might miss out one or two here and there, and also there might be instances where you can't really ask us relevant questions and you want to ask us something that's totally different from the video at hand. So that's where you can use hashtag AskRevAtlas and shoot out your questions and get an answer in this video format, which is more detailed than the answers you would get through regular YouTube comment section or regular Twitter. So I also want to thank each and every one of you for your valuable support and your blessings, because we have reached the 14,000 subscriber mark and it's one step closer to the 15,000 subscriber mark, where we'll also be doing a giveaway. And if you haven't registered yet, go ahead to the link in description below and make sure you also take part in the same. So without much further ado, let's get started with the question. So first question is from Bandhan, and he has asked your favorite phone of 2017 and one area where you would like flagships to improve. So yeah, my favorite phone is this, the Pixel 2 XL. It's my primary driver and it's the phone that meets my requirements the most, and that's why I'm using it as well. Now, when it comes to one area where I would like smartphones to improve, I think it's the battery life. I think battery life is improving slowly and steadily, but it's taking way too long compared to most of the other aspects of a smartphone, and I think developers and manufacturers really need to step on it and improve the battery life, because without a battery, of course, the phone isn't going to work. And considering how the phone is getting more and more intensive in terms of the power it uses, I think it's important that there is a serious breakthrough in terms of battery life on smartphones. The next question is from Dinesh, and he has asked favorite Android skin between MIUI, EMUI and Samsung experience. So I personally love the Samsung UI. I know it's a bit bloated and is a bit slow, especially with the TouchWiz and the latency issues, but I personally love it because I feel most at home. I've been a Samsung Galaxy S series and Note series user for the most part, since 2011 or whenever it is that they started the Galaxy S series. I think my first Galaxy S series was the S2, and I've had almost every S series device and almost every Note series device since then. And I do feel quite at home using the Samsung UI experience, but I don't feel the same about MIUI or EMUI. That's a personal sort of preference, but I can see why other people like the other UIs as well. But yeah, that's my pick between the three. So next question is from Hirak Sarkar, who asks, what's your opinion on the iPhone 10 like gesture control over Android UI? OnePlus did it, Xiaomi is about to do the same. Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think that on the iPhone it perhaps works well because there's no sort of hardware key there, or some sort of a 3D touch key where they can actually use in order to take you back to the home screen. But I don't feel that the gesture system is actually perfectly natural. Now, considering that Apple has implemented it, I think that is the way forward, and then most manufacturers are going to follow suit whether you like it or not. But I feel that they could have gone for a more elegant solution. I'm speaking of Apple here, because when you look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the S8, for example, they make use of the 3D touch home button in order to take you home. So Apple having 3D touch could have very well done that. So if they had implemented that, they could actually use the power button for Siri, kept the 3D touch for the home key, and maybe had just swipe up for the recent apps thing, and avoided the whole confusion between swipe up and hold and swipe up to minimize. So I feel it's not that natural, but we're probably gonna have to stick with it regardless of whether it's natural or whether we like it or not, because most people tend to follow Apple, and that's what we're seeing so far as well. So I'm not a big fan of it, but eventually we will get used to it when it becomes widespread, and I hope they find a better way to do it. It's a constantly evolving sort of concept, and I think it can be better with time, but currently I'm still not a big fan of it. So the next question is from Giri Sonasari. I think most of you know his channel and what he does. So he has asked Mi A1 or 9i Lite. I think this is kind of to confuse me and the viewers, but so it's a difficult choice. If it's between the Mi A1 and 9i, I think perhaps I go with the 9i because the camera is better overall. I don't use the front camera all that much, but then again, the front camera is also coming into play these days, especially for me as a vlogger and YouTuber. I think that might help if that's the only phone I'm carrying. But otherwise, the rear camera on the Mi A1 is brilliant, and I might like that as well. Again, if it's between the 9 Lite and the Mi A1, I think I'll go for the Mi A1 because I'm a person who likes bigger screen phones. And although screen experience is more or less the same and the 9 Lite is actually a bit bigger, I think that the Mi A1 is perhaps more suited towards my needs as opposed to the 9 Lite. So the next question actually is more of a statement from Michael, who was actually one of my ex-colleagues at Phone Arena. So he has mentioned saying that I like to see an overview of the gear that we're using. So yeah, I think we can make that work. Perhaps we'll have a sort of gear series where we dive into details about each of the gear we use. Maybe not one episode per gadget, but we like to have multiple episodes, maybe one for video, one for editing, one for audio, etc. And probably that'll give you an insight on the kind of content that we use, the kind of equipment that we use to create our content. So next question is from Neeraj, and it's a big one. So glad to see this update. I have a few questions in my mind, and here it is. Number one, in the past 1 year, many companies dropped their flagship devices price apart from the OnePlus team. Is there any reason? So yeah, I think there is a reason. Firstly, I think that the smartphone space is becoming more and more competitive. So as a result, people are forced to kind of reduce their price in order to kind of urge people to buy more of their phones. But it's also going up, I feel, in terms of the pricing. If you look at the iPhone 10, that reached a new high in terms of smartphone pricing. The Pixel 2 XL was also really costly in India. But I can see makers such as Samsung, they have reduced their price overall compared to the previous generation, and that's because they're actually manufacturing locally. They get several subsidies and stuff like that, which Apple, apart from the SE, they don't do that, and Pixel devices also aren't being manufactured locally. So that's a big issue for these brands. But then you have other brands who are also price cutting in the mid-range segment. For example, Honor has released several devices now in the past few months, which are really good in terms of value for money. And I think that's a trend that will keep going on up until the competition becomes a little less cutthroat, at least. As for OnePlus, I think that they have always mentioned that they will try and slowly bring up the price to a level where they actually make some sort of profit from it. Initially, they were making very little margin from each device sold, and the margin is sort of increasing each and every time they launch a new device. But it may backfire on them, I'm not sure. Many people don't actually like the fact that the price is going up. I'm not sure what the OnePlus 6 will be priced at, but if it goes above 40k, I think that would put many people off from buying these phones. Now, second question that you've asked is, according to you, which flagship device will be the main highlight in 2018? So personally, I would say the Pixel 3. I would be most looking forward to it, but I think it's gonna not get as much attention as the next iPhone and perhaps the Galaxy Note 9. I think the Note 9 is probably the smartphone to watch out, because it could have potentially many new groundbreaking technologies implemented into it that could be a game changer for the smartphone scene. So next question is from Shantanu. He has asked, what do you think, will Pixel 3 XL be an improvement over 2 XL or a completely new device? Also, will Apple drop iPhone 10 lineup in 2018? So I'll answer the second part. I think they won't drop the iPhone 10 lineup. They will continue to stick to it, perhaps for one more year at least, and maybe they'll call it something else, iPhone 9 or 11, I don't know, but I think it'll pretty much continue because they have sort of some resistance when people want to adopt a new standard and new technology, but once they get used to it, they'll be pretty much happy and they'll continue to buy the iPhone 10. Now, in terms of the 3 XL, I think it's very difficult to say whether it'll be a completely new device or whether it'll be an improvement. It'll definitely be an improvement, but whether it's an update or an upgrade is something that remains to be seen, and I think it'll be an evolution and not a revolution. So from what we have seen so far, the Pixel 2 and 2 XL were more of a update to the original Pixel devices. It did improve on several aspects, including waterproofing, the speaker setup, the camera, etc. and most importantly, battery life, I guess. And although they have been improved, the design pretty much remains the same. So depending on what aspect you consider to be a major upgrade or an update, I think that's what's going to happen. But I think that they have a really strong foundation now that they can build upon, and the next phone, it remains to be seen what they do, but it's really interesting, especially from a camera perspective. So next question is from Tushar. Are people really buying the premium phones which are costing more than $800 in India specifically? Yeah, people are buying it. I mean, the iPhone 10 is doing pretty well in India, I guess, despite having a huge premium over other markets that is being sold at. The Pixel 2 XL is also doing fairly well, despite again being sold at a premium. But if you look at the numbers, it obviously won't be as high as the mid-range or low-end market. but they're still selling pretty well. So there's always a market regardless of the price segment that you're in. There's always someone who wants to buy that particular type of device. I mean, I'm using the Pixel 2 XL and there'll be other people using Pixel 2 XL. I myself know like at least 2 to 3 people in my immediate circle who has it, and same goes for the iPhone. So there are people who want the premium experience, that exclusivity, and they will always be ready to pay the premium no matter what. The next question is actually very interesting. It's from Himanshu, and he has asked, why have you stopped behind the A-Pillar series? It was fun to watch you driving your Skoda with Tech News. Will it make a comeback? So the main reason I stopped it is because I felt that it wasn't getting the kind of reach that it could be getting potentially with a larger subscriber base or audience base. So when I was sort of doing that whole thing, I wanted to give an unplugged sort of experience where I give my, unfiltered thoughts, and you guys sort of understood what that meant. And it's a sort of freshness compared to the other scripted videos that we make. But since then, I felt that it's not really reaching its full potential, not just in terms of the reach, but also in terms of the visual appeal. Although it's more unfiltered, bit more raw, I still wanted to sort of revamp the entire thing and give it a bit more of a dimension. Right now it was very 2D. Almost the entire video was me just driving and talking about some particular thing or a bunch of things. But I wanted it to be much more than that. And I think we will bring it back at a time where we think we can do something different, something better, and something that adds more value to the entire concept of behind the A-Pillar. The next question is from Tech Tamara. So he has asked, what do you think of Tech Tamara? So I think you guys know this already, but Rajan sir and Giri sir are two very very close people that I have, and really good YouTubers who I look up to. They've played an important role in the growth of RevAtlas, and I think they'll continue to do so. And I think that they are really hardworking individuals who put in all their time and effort and produce great videos that people want to watch, and you can see that happening in terms of their growth rate as well. And it's great whenever we meet up to shoot and stuff like that, and all of you should check their channels out. I'll link both Tech Tamara and Giri Sonasari in the description below. Next question is from Larson. He has asked, best tech owned till date and why? That's really difficult to answer. I mean, like, tech is so widespread and it's kind of difficult to narrow it down to one single thing. I'm not sure what I would classify as the best tech that I've ever owned, but I think one thing that was probably a game changer for me when I got it was the Nikon D800, the DSLR that I had before, because that sort of enabled me to do a lot of things that I couldn't do prior to getting that, both professionally as well as personally. And it allowed me to sort of expand my reach both in terms of photography and videography, and I've used it quite a lot, and I don't think there's any other device that I've used it to that full potential as I did with the D800. So that's probably my one best pick. So this question is from Fidel. Do you think S9 will be able to beat the Pixel 2 in camera department? And I don't think so. I mean, hardware wise, S9 seems really great. 12 megapixels is fine, the resolution is fine, the variable aperture is really interesting. The maximum aperture of f1.5 should be really great when it comes to low light photography, and the variable aperture you can change to f2.4 when you need it. It sort of acts like an ND filter and gives you more depth as well, but software processing is the way forward. Regardless of how good a hardware you have, if you combine it with software processing, that's how you get much better photos, and the Pixel taught us that. So unless Samsung miraculously find a way to sort of match the software processing of the Pixel, I don't think it can beat it, but it can come very, very close. From what we've seen so far, the S8, the Note 8 has come very close to a Pixel, but not just as good as the Pixel. So I think it'll be somewhere there, but not better than the Pixel. But let's see. I hope it does become better than Pixel, then Google have to work even harder and provide an even better experience with the Pixel 3. And he has also asked, Nokia 8 at 29K a good deal? Nokia 8 is a great device, especially in terms of the software front. They've updated it to Android 8 Oreo very fast. They actually have quite a lot of things working in their favor. The battery life has become much better. The screen is great. The overall experience and fluidity is also great. So at 29K, I think it's a really good buy. But it depends on what you exactly want from a smartphone, and based on those requirements, maybe I can suggest something that's better or recommend the Nokia 8 itself to you. So next question is from Suraj. He runs Tech Devoted. If you haven't checked it out already, make sure you do it from the link in description below. He makes great videos, and he has asked 3 things you learned working at Phone Radar. So he clarified this, he meant Phone Arena, but it was a typo, and you still can't edit your tweets. So that's a major issue right now that we're facing. And main things I learned at Phone Arena is probably teamwork. Teamwork is really important. You have to sort of gel well. You sort of have to have the same mindset as everyone else, or at least the close team that you're working with, you know, in order to get the best possible product out. It also gave me a lot of exposure. I went to several international events such as IFA, MWC, CES, Computex, all these events. So it gave me a lot of exposure, both in terms of culture, in terms of travel, in terms of meeting new people, and in terms of learning how to work when you're put under pressure. When there's a deadline and you have to shoot like 30 videos a day, for example, and you know, when you're running around, walking, carrying all that heavy equipment, it's a very different experience, and you know, quite unlike anything else that you would have experienced before. And for me, that was a really great experience and a big learning curve, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm able to do some of the things that I do today. And other than that, it's probably just, you know, getting to know the entire blogging or YouTubing community. So I already have a lot of contacts in the industry because I was working at Phone Arena for a long time, and I'm also happy that we are all still on good terms with each other despite me having left the company. And it helped me both personally and professionally quite a bit when I worked there. And yeah, I'm still supporting the company 100%. I'm still grateful for whatever they've done for me. So Anant has asked, since you're best in the photography and videography, can we see some tutorial videos on mobile photography? So we've actually done 2 videos, one for mobile photography, mobile videos, and actually one for selfies as well. So we'll link them in the description below. They're not really that great, to be honest, but it's something that we did really early on, and we might do a revamped version of the same in the future. But for now, you can perhaps check that out, and that'll probably give you some insights as well. So Tech Talks has asked your favorite smartphone under 10K and then under 20K. So under 20K, I think my favorite smartphone is currently the Honor 9i. And under 10K, that's kind of difficult to answer right now, but I think the Redmi Note 4, because of the new price cut, I think that's probably my favorite. And if there are any new smartphones coming from Xiaomi, maybe they will take its place. So Harshit has asked your daily driver and why. So again, the Pixel 2 XL. It's my daily driver. I also have an iPhone 10 which I use alongside as a secondary device. The reason that the Pixel 2 XL is my primary device and probably my favorite is because, one, the camera. For me, camera is really important on any device that I use, especially as a primary device, and the camera is the best on the Pixel 2 XL. It may be lacking the optical zoom that the iPhone 10, Note 8, etc. gives, but it still does much better at the dynamic range. It still gives better portrait mode. It still has great video, and overall it's an amazing camera and can even put most DSLRs to shame. So that way, the Pixel 2 XL is the main reason. The camera is the main reason that I'm using it. The battery life being the other thing, because of course that's sort of something that I expect from most phones. The battery life on the Pixel 2 XL is pretty good. And other than that, I'm also pretty much an Android guy. I find it most comfortable using an Android phone, but I also want to know how things are happening and developing on the other side of the smartphone space, and that's why I have an iOS device as well. So Nokia 6 2018 thoughts. This is asked by Rohan, sorry, and this is something that I think I'll not have too much opinion about, because I generally tend not to comment much on devices just from rumors, because a lot of things can change finally when the spec sheet comes about. But it seems like a good update or an upgrade for many people, but I'm not sure how well it's going to do, because it depends a lot on the pricing, and it also depends on whether you're upgrading from the Nokia 6 or you're actually going for a brand new phone and upgrading for something else. So if you're asking whether it's a good upgrade for people who have the Nokia 6 currently, I think that remains to be seen based on the performance, because the spec sheet itself doesn't tell everything. But whatever changes are there seems interesting and seems good, but I'm not sure if it's enough to warrant an upgrade from the existing Nokia 6. The next question is from Rajesh. He has asked, how do you get that much of smartphones in purpose of review on your YouTube channel? I guess they just give it to us, they send it to us. Some of the phones that we review are also phones that we purchase and we sell it later on, especially the Razer phone and stuff like that, because they're not available locally. But most of the phones, the companies give it to us and then we send it back once the review is done. So next one is from AM9, that's his username. Okay, top 5 camera smartphones. And the second question is Pixel 2, not XL or LG V30. So I'll still go for the Pixel 2. The LG V30, I can't stand LG's UI. I've given it a try a few times. The wide angle camera is really nice to have, but I would still prefer the Pixel 2 camera for sure, especially if that's my only device. Now coming to top 5 camera for smartphones, I think number 1 Pixel 2 and 2 XL. Number 2 would be the Note 8. Actually it'll be a tie. The second and third positions is a tie between the Note 8 and the iPhone 10, depending on whether you want something that's more video oriented or more photo. For photo I would go for the Note 8, for video I go for the iPhone 10. And other than that, I think the number 4th position would probably be LG V30, and then 5th would be S8. Yeah. So Nikhil has asked a question: what prompted you to start the channel in the first place, and how many people comprise of Team RevAtlas? So the reason that I started RevAtlas is because I felt that there was a lack or a sort of gap that could be filled with quality tech reviews. I'm not saying that there's no quality tech reviews out there, but I felt that there was some place that I could probably pitch in and fill that void that was there in terms of providing some sort of cinematic content for reviews of tech, which I don't think was there. There's always people who take great videos and make great quality tech reviews and content, but I don't know if there are too many out there. There are a few, but I'm not going to take any names because I don't want to feel the others to feel left out. But I'm sure you guys know which they are as well. But there are a few who do good quality videos and good quality tech content at the same time, but not quite a lot out there. And I felt that this is something that I'm very passionate about, and perhaps doing this would give me extreme joy and also would give others the opportunity to see gadgets and see different things in a whole new perspective. Right now RevAtlas has 3 people. There's Amrit, who you guys know, you've seen in many videos. He's the content producer. He handles camera shooting, editing, etc. And we are the ones who shoot most of the videos together. And we have one more member as well who handles finance and stuff like that. So Midun has asked a question: what do you guys know about Redmi Note 5 so far? Any India release dates? I think that the rumors, all I know is what the rumors say. The rumors say an 18:9 aspect ratio display with smaller bezels, dual camera setup at the back. India release dates, I think again the rumor is that it'll come in February, but I have no idea. I think we'll have to just wait and see. So Debesh has asked, which is the best gaming phone you've reviewed? I think that probably goes to a Razer phone without a doubt, considering that it has a huge 120Hz display. That totally changes the entire look and feel of gaming. It makes it much more immersive, along with the speaker setup, the great specifications, etc. So yeah, the Razer phone is definitely the number 1 gaming device that I've tried so far. So Prashant has asked, what do you do other than YouTube? So YouTube is one part of what RevAtlas does. We also do media production and content production for other brands and companies. So if they want a particular video shot, see an ad or something like that, we do that for them, or cover an event, we do that as well. So RevAtlas does YouTube on one side and these other things on the other side. So YouTube is probably the most immediate thing that you guys can access, but that's what we do other than that. So the last tweet is from Animesh, and he said, I wish to want everything about you. I think he meant like he wants to know everything about me, but you have to be more specific. I can't just go on a rant and mention everything about me and my life, etc. So if you tell me specifics, I might be able to answer it. And that brings us to the end of this Q&A episode. I hope I've answered all your questions, at least to the best of my knowledge. If you have anything further that you require clarity on, please do mention it in the comment section below. And for future videos as well, make sure you use #RevAtlas and tweet to us so that we can include them in our upcoming video as well. So thanks once again for watching this video. Thanks for getting us to a 14,000 subscriber mark, and hopefully we'll get to 15K pretty soon as well. So as always, please do support us, share the video, subscribe to our channel, and like our video if you liked it. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next one.